You're standing in a stone chamber in Alexandria, second floor of the palace. August 9th, 30 BCE. Through the narrow window, you hear children laughing somewhere below. Her children, but the door is locked from the outside. You can smell the salt air from the harbor, mixing with the scent of untouched food rotting on a silver plate. Your hands are trembling because architects just measured your body like furniture. Discussing in clinical detail how you'll be displayed in chains through the streets of Rome. You are Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, and you have been alone in this room for 8 days. Before we go any further, I need you to understand something that changes everything you think you know about Cleopatra's death. The story of the asp, hidden in figs. Almost certainly fiction. The image of her dying peacefully, surrounded by loyal servants. Propaganda. What actually happened between August 1st and August 12th, 30 BCE, was something far more calculated, far more psychological, far more revealing about how empires destroy their enemies from the inside out. Drop a comment from wherever you're watching this. I'm always stunned this story reaches from Buenos Aires to Bangkok. And I'm curious who else can't stop thinking about ancient power dynamics at 2 a.m. Alexandria, late summer, is the wealthiest city in the ancient world, now under Roman occupation. Inside a sealed palace chamber, a woman is being systematically dismantled, not with violence, but with precision. She is 39 years old. She has ruled Egypt for 21 years. She has negotiated with Julius Caesar, allied with Mark Antony, commanded naval fleets, spoken 9 languages, and survived 3 civil wars. And now, for reasons that won't become clear until later in this story, she is being kept alive against her will. The central mystery that drives everything. Why would Octavian, the most powerful man in the world who has just conquered Egypt, spend 10 days trying to prevent a defeated queen from dying? Before dawn on August 1st, someone would make a choice that sealed the fate of thousands. A decision written in blood would surface in historical records centuries later. And the last person standing would be the one nobody expected. The trap was already set. She just didn't know it yet. Let me show you how the destruction began. August 1st, 30 BCE. Mark Antony is dying at the base of Cleopatra's tomb near the Temple of Isis. He fell on his sword after being falsely told she was already dead. Except she isn't. She has barricaded herself inside with her handmaidens, Roz and Charmian, refusing to open the massive wooden doors because Octavian's soldiers are minutes away. Antony's men beg her to let him in. She can't risk it. Instead, according to Plutarch, she and her attendants lower ropes from the upper level and haul Antony upward through a high opening. His blood runs down the limestone walls as they pull. Think about that image, dragging your dying lover into your own tomb because opening the door means capture. Antony dies in her arms on the stone floor. His last words, recorded by multiple sources: "I was the greatest of Romans, defeated only by another Roman." He dies believing his life had meaning. Cleopatra has maybe 10 minutes to grieve before she hears voices outside. RomanVoices.com. Controlled, professional. A messenger named Proculus speaks through the narrow gap in the tomb door. Caesar wishes to discuss terms. The future of her children. Cleopatra refuses to open the doors. She demands guarantees. Written guarantees. While she negotiates, Proculus's men are already climbing the outer walls. They enter through the same opening used to pull Antony inside. They take her by surprise. Cleopatra reaches for a dagger hidden in her robes and tries to kill herself. The soldiers tackle her, disarm her, restrain her. According to Cassius Dio, she screams as they seize her. "You will not take me alive to Rome. You will not parade me. Kill me now." But the soldiers have explicit orders. Keep her alive. Use whatever force necessary. Do not let her die. They carry her from the tomb, transport her to the palace, seal her inside a guarded chamber on the 2nd floor. That moment, August 1st, early afternoons, when the real horror begins. But what the soldiers didn't know was that Octavian had already written specific instructions. A protocol so psychologically calculated it would become a blueprint for breaking powerful enemies. Instructions that started with a simple premise: the queen must want to die. Our job is to make her want to live. Just long enough. Here's what Octavian understood that most conquerors didn't. Egypt was now his. The wealthiest kingdom in the ancient world. Its grain supplies, its gold, its trade route, all Roman property. But in Rome, he faced a problem that wealth couldn't solve. He had just won a civil war. Romans killing Romans. Blood spilled by citizens against citizens. The Senate was nervous. The people were exhausted. He needed to transform this victory from fratricide into something easier to accept. A war against a foreign enemy. A war against a dangerous Eastern queen who had corrupted Mark Antony and threatened Rome itself. Simple, clean, justifiable. But Cleopatra wasn't a barbarian. She was educated, multilingual, politically brilliant. She had lived in Rome, negotiated with senators, dined with Cicero. Romans knew she wasn't the caricature Octavian needed her to be. Complicated enemies don't make effective propaganda. So Octavian needed to simplify her. Turn her from a political rival into a symbol. The Eastern temptress, the Egyptian witch, the foreign corruption that had to be eliminated for Rome to survive. And above all, he needed to parade her through the streets of Rome alive in his triumph. 'Cause Cleopatra knew exactly what that parade meant, and she would rather die than let it happen. But here's the contradiction that makes your stomach turn. The doctor assigned to keep Cleopatra healthy during those 10 days was also documenting exactly how much psychological pressure she could withstand before breaking. On Octavian's orders, this wasn't medicine. It was research. He was measuring her breaking point the way you'd measure fever or pulse. Systematically, clinically, with notes. What happened next made no sense to anyone who believed Octavian was simply a military conqueror. Because what he built inside that palace wasn't a prison. It was a machine designed to reverse someone's will to die. And the fuel for that machine was the one thing Cleopatra could not surrender: her children. August 2nd, the day after her capture. Cleopatra wakes on a stone floor in an empty chamber. Everything potentially dangerous has been removed. No knives, no ropes, no glass, no sharp edges of any kind. According to Plutarch, they even searched her clothing and hair every single day, checking for hidden poison, checking for anything she might use to escape through death. A messenger arrives. Gaius Cornelius Gallus, poet, soldier, diplomat. The message is precise, controlled, elegant in its cruelty. Caesar wishes you to know that your children are being well cared for. Our future depends entirely on your cooperation. Should anything happen to you, Caesar cannot guarantee their safety. Caesarion, in particular, is in a very delicate position. Cleopatra understands immediately. Caesarion is 17 years old, Julius Caesar's biological son. That alone makes him a mortal threat to Octavian, whose entire authority rests on being Caesar's adopted heir. If Cleopatra dies, Caesarion becomes unprotected. He will be killed. Octavian doesn't say this explicitly. He doesn't have to. But if Cleopatra lives, if she cooperates, if she submits, if she allows herself to be used, then maybe Caesarion survives. Maybe all her children survive. Her younger three, the twins, Alexander, Helios, and Cleopatra Selene, both 10 years old, and little Ptolemy, just 6. All fathered by Mark Antony. All completely vulnerable. This is the trap. Octavian has given Cleopatra a reason to live that directly contradicts her reason to die. Her dignity demands death. Her children demand survival. For the next 10 days, she will exist inside that impossible choice, suspended between two forms of destruction. On August 3rd, the architects arrive. They come with measuring rods and wax tablets. They measure her height, her approximate weight, the dimensions of her body. According to testimony from Charmian, who survived longer than her queen, Cleopatra asks what they're doing. Preparing for Caesar's triumph, one architect replies. The display must be properly constructed to accommodate you. Think about the impact of that moment. They are measuring her like furniture, like an object, like a statue to be built into a parade float. They aren't just collecting data, they are delivering a message. This is happening. You are going to Rome. We are building the cage now. And they return, August 4th, August 5th, August 6th. Each day, more measurements, more questions. What clothing would she wear? What jewelry would Roman audiences recognize? Would she be in chains or simply restrained? They discuss it in front of her, debate the visual effect, the presentation. They speak about her humiliation as if it were an artistic project. Every day the architects return, death becomes more appealing. But every day, Octavian balances that pull with another message. Reports about her children. Caesarion asked after you today. He's worried. He needs his mother. Pull her toward death with the horror of the triumph. Pull her back toward life with fear for her children. Trap her between the two. Cleopatra is alone in that chamber. Iris and Charmian are kept in separate rooms. She can hear them sometimes, their voices carrying faintly through stone, but she is not allowed to speak to them. No one to plan with. No one to share the weight of what's being done to her. She can hear her children playing. The palace walls are limestone and sound travels easily. Sometimes laughter drifts through the window, too narrow for anyone to climb through. She doesn't know if the sounds are real or staged. Doesn't know if they're safe or if the sounds are part of the manipulation. By August 7th, Cleopatra stops eating. When guards bring food, she refuses it. She sits in the chamber, silent, staring at stone walls. The guards report this immediately. Octavian's response is not to force-feed her. It is to bring Caesarion. For the first time in 6 days, Cleopatra sees her oldest son. The meeting is brief. Guards stand close the entire time. Plutarch records what Caesarion says to his mother. Please eat. Please take care of yourself. I need you. We all need you. Then the guards take him away. That night, Cleopatra eats. And that tells you everything you need to know about the trap's effectiveness. The threat to her children is no longer abstract. It has a face, a voice. How do you choose death when your son is begging you to live? August 8th, Octavian comes himself. First time he has spoken directly to Cleopatra since her capture. He comes alone, except for guards stationed outside the door. The offer is simple. Participate willingly in the triumph. Walk through Rome under your own power, not in chains. Retain some dignity in defeat. In exchange, your children live. All of them, including Caesarion. Refuse, and Caesarion dies the day you die. The younger children might survive. They might not. No promises. Cleopatra asks for time to consider. Octavian gives her 3 days. After that, we sail for Rome with or without your cooperation. Choose. This is the brilliance of the trap. Octavian isn't offering an escape. He's offering justification. A way for Cleopatra to tell herself that enduring humiliation serves a higher purpose. It's a lie. Octavian was never going to spare Caesarion. The boy is too dangerous, too legitimate, too much of a rallying point. For 3 days, she lives suspended between hope and despair. And then, on August 11th, something changes. Maybe she overheard guards speaking. Maybe someone loyal managed to pass a message. Maybe she simply understood Octavian well enough to see through the performance. By August 11th, Cleopatra knows the truth. Caesarion is going to die regardless. According to Plutarch, Cleopatra requests permission to visit Antony's tomb. She says she wishes to make offerings before the journey to Rome. Octavian grants it. She is taken under heavy guard, allowed inside for 1 hour. The soldiers watch her pray, watch her pour libations. They do not see her palm, the small clay vial hidden within the tomb's wall. Do not notice her slip it into her clothing. When returned, Cleopatra asks for figs. The guards inspect the basket carefully. They see only fruit. They let it through. August 12, 30 BCE, early morning. The guards hear nothing unusual. Round 9 a.m., they open the door. Cleopatra is dead. Akah. She lies on a golden couch dressed in full royal regalia. Iris is already dead. Charmian is barely alive, straightening the diadem on Cleopatra's head. A guard asks, "Was this well done?" Charmian replies, "Extremely well, and as befits the descendant of so many kings." Then she dies. But Octavian won anyway. He could not parade the real Cleopatra, so he built a substitute. During his triumph, a massive effigy of Cleopatra with a snake was carried through Rome. The crowd saw Cleopatra defeated. The propaganda worked, and Caesarion was murdered 3 weeks later. Octavian sent assassins. Julius Caesar's only biological son, 17 years old, was killed on a desert road. Octavian didn't just want to defeat Cleopatra. He wanted to dismantle her psychologically first, to turn her love for her children into a weapon, to construct an impossible choice and force her to live inside it. It was a machine, every element calculated, every pressure point identified, every moment designed to strip agency. And when it didn't work, Octavian simply built a substitute and paraded it instead. That is real power, not the ability to kill, but the ability to control the narrative even when your enemy denies you. Octavian understood the story matters more than the event. The image matters more than the truth. You're back where we started, standing in a stone chamber in Alexandria. Second floor, narrow window. Children's laughter somewhere below. Except now you know why the room is empty. Now you understand what was measured here. Now you realize the real horror wasn't death, was the 10 days of calculated psychological dismantling that preceded it. The chamber is underwater now, buried beneath centuries. But if you listen carefully, you can almost hear what she understood, that sometimes the only choice left is how you lose. That sometimes dignity costs everything and buys nothing except the knowledge that the choice was still yours. She died a queen. Failed to save her kingdom. Failed to save her children. Succeeded only in denying Octavian the satisfaction of parading her living body through Rome. Whether that was enough is the question that echoes across 2,000 years.